You know what's really funny? You know what's really funny? I was just thinking earlier on today about my friend Natalia. Big up Natalia, big up Vlad. Two incredible people that I met in the scene back in the day. Two DJs who are now a beautiful married couple with two kids. No, one already born, one on the way. So congratulations to both of them. And I was running around the city with them for a long period of time. I DJed with Natalia for a while back in the not back in the day, a few years ago when we used to do this really cool little night in in this pub in East London somewhere. That was hilarious, right? We used to do this night. We used to kind of plan on there like basically every week playing there, which was full of surprises, full of interesting things. Mostly empty, but still a great time to practice and to kind of get used to playing in front of a crowd. And yeah, man, a lot of good things kind of came out of that. So I really respect those two lovely people a lot. And there was a time where me and Natalia would be having some very spirited, very passionate debates about the scene and about how to, hustle, how to make your dreams happen, all this malarkey. And I was very much on the side of saying this. This was my argument to Natalia. Big up Natalia, whoever she is. Love you always, especially you and Vlad. Love them both, right? But I would always argue to Natalia and say that one of the good things about having a full-time job, if you're a creative or you're like trying to do your own thing, is that it gives you security. It gives you like a bit of a cushion. It gives you a bit of, in terms of financial, because you're getting paid. And it also, I felt like, gives you a bit of structure, because the days that you're in, usually Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, means that you have to now fit what you want to do like outside of work. No, what you want to do basically for your life, you need to fit it outside of your work. You got to make the hours work for you because you have limited amount. So it kind of forces you to be resourceful. It forces you to hustle. It forces you to work. That's what I used to say. Yeah. And she would always push back at me and say, nah, that's actually not the right way to go about it. And how she would go about it, which I thought at the time was crazy, was that she would work like crappy, let's say like bar jobs and stuff, right? Like, those type of jobs that you can get very, very easily for 6 months, save a bunch, or let's say a couple, anywhere from 2 months to 6 months. She then save a bunch of money and then use that money to pursue her dreams for another 6 months. And then when it runs out, go again to get another job. Or if the dream works out, then just continue with the dream. That's what she would do. And I'll be like, oh, that's too risky. It's putting way too much, pressure on, pursuing the thing that you want to pursue. It doesn't give you any kind of wiggle room. And it just seems like a weird use of your time when you could be just working a career at the same time, making your way that way, so that if your dream doesn't work out, you still got a quote unquote career to fall back on. Now, I'm starting to think she might have been right. Now that I've kind of got this new job and I'm working fucking 9 to 6 most days, I've started to understand, especially with what, working out or before work or working out after work. Jesus, by the time I get back home, honestly, maybe it's because of the weights I'm lifting, maybe it's because of age, I don't really know, or maybe because I'm just not running as hot as I was in the past. Before I was probably like, fueled by a lot of, multivitamins, by a lot of alcohol, so I was allowing me to just keep steaming through. But now I'm finding myself, I'm beginning to find it very, very difficult to balance the two things. Very, very difficult to find time to do those things, to find time, because in the past I'd wake up early and just bang out a couple of pods, bang out some writing, do whatever needs to be done, work out in the morning for an hour and a half before I head off to work, and then come back and run, and then come back and record, and then come back and DJ. All these type of things I was fitting into one day. Nowadays, when I come back home, the last thing I want to do is create or make things or engage my brain. I just wanted to turn it off, which is now also reminding me why I can now understand why people like to watch trash TV. I'd always kind of take the piss out of people who do watch like stuff like Love Island, stuff like 90 Day Fiance, things like Big Brother, and be like, oh, the Kardashians, like, how could you like be rotting your brain like this? But it makes a lot of sense now. When you spend, let's say 8 hours per day, maybe 40 hours, whatever else you may be working, plus the last thing you want to be doing is going back home and engaging your brain with something, intellectual, something mentally taxing, something creative, whatever it may be. You don't want that. You just want to turn off your brain. So what better way to do it than to put on a bit of 9 Day Fiance and just sit back and relax, because you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do no heavy lifting. You just sit there and enjoy it. So I'm starting to think maybe I was incorrect of my thoughts, incorrect of my perspective, and maybe what I was saying to Natalia back in the day was kind of correct, but it's also time sensitive, it's also age sensitive, it's also period of your life sensitive. There's only a certain amount of time when you can kind of burn the candle at both ends, and at some point, it's gonna you're gonna start feeling it, especially if you're doing it properly. I think if you're not doing it properly and you're kind of doing it half-hearted, then of course it won't really matter. But if you're actually trying to, because I feel like nowadays I'm not like before. I'm not like not trying to be a good employee. In the past I'd like not really care about the jobs and just be like, turning up and clocking in and clocking out. But nowadays I'm trying to do a good job. If promotions are in my way, or if opportunities to move teams, move departments are in my way, I'm taking them. I'm being, I'm being, let's say, like active in the office, because a lot of people, I'm sure some of you guys know this. Unfortunately, in the work environment, it's not really how good you are, what you do. It's mostly about how you get on with people, which is a real shame. It should always be about how competent you are at the job, but it's never really about that. The job interviews are never really about that, right? Job interviews mostly, I would imagine, again, I've never been, I've never hired anybody, and I'm not a recruiter or anything, but I'd imagine a lot of job interviews, they probably decide who they're going to take maybe within a 5 seconds, or maybe first 5 minutes of your interview. And sometimes it's not even down to your experience. It's just down to, okay, do they like you? Will they get along with you? Do they think you're going to be a good fit in the office? And I think a lot of those things is really important. So when you're actively trying to do a good job, when you're actively trying to work, when you're actively also trying to take part in the social side of work, it's really difficult to come back home and start doing your dream or pursuing your quote unquote dreams. It's super difficult. I found it anyway recently, which is probably the reason why the frequency of the pods and the streams have kind of flagged or lagged in the last few weeks and stuff, because it's just been hard to balance both of those things, plus the working out and shit. It's just been like, oh. So I need to figure out a plan to kind of make it work, but I'm starting to think slowly but surely, maybe my dear Natalia, maybe Vlad, maybe these people are actually right. Maybe it is probably beneficial to kind of, you're kind of KILLING yourself by working some of these crappy jobs for crap money, but then obviously they don't really require much from you, right? Being a bar back, being a bartender, working in a restaurant, working in a record store, whatever, they don't require much of you. You just got to be competent enough to turn up on time and do enough of a good job. But what they do allow you to do is kind of like, float in, float out, float in, float out, earn a bit of money and keep it moving. I have more financial security. I have more maybe job security and shit, but it's also taking up a lot of my time. 9 to 6 basically means what? I have to leave my house latest at like 8 or something, and wake up I don't know, 7, 6. Do you know what I mean? It's already taken so much time in the morning. And then on the way home, it's, you're just tired. You just want to lie down and kind of get your, your feet out of your shoes and shit, and change out of your work gear. So it's a bit mad. It's a bit mad. But I'll figure it out in the end. But it is a bit mad. And I just thought back to myself as well. Like, imagine the people that do this that have like families and shit. Imagine people that are like, single mothers, like single father. Imagine people that do this sort of stuff, and they honestly have a family they're trying to balance. Like, I don't know how people do it, man, because it's so taxing, especially with you. And I'm lucky too, I don't really have a social circle. I don't really have friends like that, so I don't really have anyone pulling me in different directions about, hey, come out, do this, do that, so it makes it a lot more easy to just kind of stay on my own. But god damn it, imagine if you had a family, imagine if you had a pet, imagine if you had like, friends. Oof. But anyway, what can you do? It is what it is. On one hand, you start crying about unemployment, and next hand you get it and you realize, oh shit, that's why people don't like these things, isn't it? Because they're so time taxing. But hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Nothing comes for free. Nothing comes for free.